Hi, this is Dodger and you're watching my show. So everybody's been asking whether or not I was going to do a top games of 2014 sort of a list. And basically what I did is I made a big list of all of my favorite games, and it was supposed to be 10 games, and then it turned into like 11-ish games, and then it turned into like 14. And this is not in an order at all. This is literally just, I wrote these in this order, so this is the order I'm going to present them in. First game that I'm going to talk about is Nidhogg, which seems like a very simple game. It's a party game where you play two fencers, and it's 2D, so you're running at each other and you're trying to get past one another so that you can get to the end zone and get eventually devoured by the Nidhogg. For those of you who watch Coffee Time, it has now developed into every siren that I hear in the background is a Nidhogg coming to eat me, so you know, it's really affected my life. But beyond that, it's just like a really fun game. There are so many different ways that you can do things, and really cheap things that you can do too that really make everybody angry. But I don't know, it's the sort of game where it just makes everybody scream at the TV and get really into it. And if you need some sort of a couch game to play with somebody, then I think it's a good option. Hearthstone came out. For some reason, it feels like Hearthstone came out a really long time ago. I guess because of beta. Like, it didn't officially launch until this year, but beta was happening earlier than that? I don't know. Anyway, Hearthstone has wound up being super, super fun, and I personally, just like everybody else I think, I go through waves of really wanting to play a lot of it and then not playing any of it and then playing a lot of it and not wanting to play any of it. Fortunately, Sam and I are on opposite waves, so you know, we can take control of the iPad and play Hearthstone at different times when one of us is on the downswing. But the expansions have been super fun. I think that the way that they've laid it out has been really good. And fortunately, I think they've heard the critique that they need more cards in play if they're going to compete with something like Magic the Gathering, right? So they've put out two big packs of new cards in a very short period of time. So hopefully they continue to do that, but not so often that you feel kind of overwhelmed and like you have no idea what any of the cards are, because that's how I feel when I play Magic. Danganronpa is super fun. I know that it was only localized here and that it didn't come out in 2014, but it came out here in 2014, so I'm totally gonna count it. I made the mistake of watching the anime first, and so I knew everything plot-wise that was going to happen in the game. They didn't deviate at all, which normally when you watch an anime, you're like, they cut out all that stuff. They really didn't cut out anything. Like, you got the full Danganronpa experience, which is not the same thing that you could say about, like, the Persona anime. You could not say that about the game, because the game has so much in it that you couldn't possibly put it into a 13-episode anime, right? But the game itself, I liked it because I really like Phoenix Wright. It kind of felt that way, where you had to, you know, you had to present evidence and you had to do lots of investigating, and then you had a trial section, and it was like Battle Royale, but Phoenix Wright. And then the second one came out, and that one is also fun, so I don't know, I recommend them both. Dark Souls 2 came out this year, whoa. Which I never, ever, ever would have played if not for the fact that I put it on a straw poll during a stream, and then Sam made a bunch of people say that they wanted me to play Dark Souls 2, and I was like, please no, but it wound up being so fun. Like, that game, it's so well put together. It's so perfectly just, I'm frustrated out of my mind and I never want to play this game again. Okay, just one more try. And I wound up beating the whole game on stream. Well, I didn't do any of the DLC. I tried to do the DLC without actually owning the DLC, and then I got lots of flack for that. I was like, go do the DLC now, and then it wouldn't let me in, and I was like, why wouldn't it let me in? It's because I don't own it. But the game itself without the DLC, super, super fun. And according to Sam, the DLC is also amazing, so yeah. That game's great. And the monster, oh my god, the monster designs and things. Sorry, I was gonna move on, but I realized I hadn't said anything about how amazing the character and armor and monster design is. So good. Towerfall! Towerfall, of course, is gonna be on my list. Towerfall Ascension, so fun. That's another couch game, right? It's another like local co-op game, but so amazingly fun. I don't know how many hours of this game we all played. Me and my friends here, we would get together so often and play that game when it wasn't even released, like when it was in beta. And then there was that awesome experience of like the new build coming out or the beta being updated, and then you'd have all new things and you'd just be like so jazzed. It's great. And the like single player stuff, like doing all of the challenges and things like that, also awesome. So obviously I recommend that game. And I'm the Towerfall champion of Polaris, so cheers.
I'll let you win.
You didn't let me win. You didn't let me me win.
Sorry, honey.
For a fighting game, the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure game is awesome. The All-Star Battle, right? JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle, I think is what it's called. My phone knows. Yes, I nailed it. So the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure game is a fighting game. It's a sort of fighting game where you're like, nothing about this is balanced, but it's so beautiful. Like, if you watch the JoJo's anime or if you read the manga, then you kind of understand the sort of shenanigans that are gonna wind up happening in a video game where you're putting all of the different JoJo's generations into one fighting game. You're like, why are some people on horses? And why does that guy have like a best friend that fights me? I don't understand. But it's just it's so perfectly JoJo's, right? Like, I wouldn't expect anything less from a JoJo's fighting game than to just have it be like, we'll just throw everything in there, see what happens. It's really, really fun. And again, it's like beautiful to look at. The colors are so vibrant. The colors are so JoJo's. Gods will be watching. F that game. It's on my top list, but F that game. It's so hard. It's totally like a management style game, but it's also, I don't even know how to explain. It's a turn-based management style game that's so nerve-wracking and so hard. I was playing it on the easiest sort of level, and I just like I couldn't figure it out. If you watch the stream, you know I couldn't figure it out. But you know, it like really delves into what it means to be a human. It actually used to be a much smaller game, like a browser game, where you were just on a planet with a few people and you're trying to like live a certain number of days or keep everybody alive, which you can't do. And I mean, I've never heard of somebody being able to beat this game and keep everybody alive. Like, that seems impossible to me. But as somebody who has always killed pretty much everybody, hot to full boyfriend! Okay, again, this game came out in North America this year, but actually came out in like 2010, 2011. But it has to be on my list because I don't think people are listening to me when I say that this is the most amazing dating sim that I've ever played in my life. Like, it starts off as a dating sim and it becomes so much more. And I get messages all the time from people being like, I don't understand how a game about birds made me care a lot about birds. It's so good. Guys, it's so well written. It's got so much to it. And you wind up going, why do I care so much about this bird? Why do I care so much about this bird's happiness? It's super weird, but I love it. I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it. And I just got done playing the sequel, and it's also amazing. So I recommend both. Play both. Hyrule Warriors, that game's really fun. I love the Dynasty Warriors games, like love them. Maybe not as much as Jesse. Jesse goes ham on like trying to get everything in the game. I just love playing them. I find them to be the most incredible stress release, right? And Hyrule Warriors I thought was really fun. I thought it was a good combination of Dynasty Warriors mechanics and Legend of Zelda mechanics. Like with every boss, you had to suddenly switch your brain and go, okay, this is a Legend of Zelda boss. This isn't like a Dynasty Warriors situation, right? Think of puzzles. Think of something that seems almost too simple to be true. It's so great. I played that game quite a bit, and I really, really, really enjoyed it. If you love the Dynasty Warriors games, I think that you would love the Hyrule Warriors games, although I guess there have been a few people that I know who really like Dynasty Warriors and didn't really get into Hyrule Warriors, and maybe it was just that small bit of a difference that just wasn't okay for them. But I guess like maybe it would be more accurate to say if you like both, if you like Dynasty Warriors and you love Zelda games, then it's just like, mwah. Beautiful combination. Bayonetta 2, incredible game. I don't care what anybody says. That game is beautiful. The mechanics are awesome. It makes you feel so powerful. And I just love Bayonetta as it is. I love Bayonetta for what it is. And if you hate Bayonetta for what it is, then maybe just don't play this game. But it's seriously like, again, just like with the JoJo's game, the color, so vibrant. The art style and the movement of things is really, really incredible, and when I play it, I feel so awesome, you know? Binding of Isaac Rebirth, not a reskin. I mean, on a certain level it's a reskin, but so much about it has changed. There's so many new enemies. The way that your powers stack up is completely different. The look of things is just so, so cool. I think that it's above and beyond what like a Binding of Isaac reskin could be. I almost said Rebirth could be. I've played Rebirth quite a bit already, But like Binding of Isaac just on its own, I used to just sit and play that forever. I would just leave it up, right? And then whenever I came to my computer, if I had a down minute, I would just like, just play some Binding of Isaac. And that's what Rebirth has become for me. And so having played both of those games so much, it really is more satisfying to play. And I love, again, I just love the way that your abilities stack up because it makes it feel so much more, I don't know, you don't feel like you're having to trade something for something else. You feel like the more things that you grab, really the more powerful you're going to be. Valiant Hearts, I love Valiant Hearts. I almost didn't wind up playing the game because I saw the trailer for it and it broke my heart just like with everybody else. But I didn't really understand what the game was. And it's a puzzle platformer, technically. But it's just, there's so much to it. There's so much heart there. The art is great. I wouldn't say that it's like amazing and gorgeous, but it works for what the game is. And you know, it's a story of war and you meet all of these characters and the mechanics themselves, they change up so often that it's not jarring. It just keeps you really engaged. Yeah, Valiant Hearts definitely suggest that game. It's amazing. Dragon Age Inquisition, super fun. I know this list is really long, right? Dragon Age Inquisition, I never got into a Dragon Age game before. I never really cared. I had tried playing the other ones and I hated the mechanics so much. And so I decided to try out Inquisition because I got really into the trailers. Like in this situation, the trailers really worked for it, right? I kept seeing the trailers and I thought, man, this game looks so cool. And you know, I'm friends with Holly, and Holly's really into Dragon Age, and she was like, you have to play it, it's gonna be so good. And I was like, okay, fine, okay. It's really fun because there's a lot going on. It's kind of Skyrim-y in that you pick up lots of different quests to do, but in this situation, they validate it for you by making it so that every fetch quest, every little dumb thing that you have to go and do, helps the Inquisition. Like it all pulls back into the same goal. And so it makes it feel so much less like, why am I doing this? You know? Like I really love it to the point where I have spent so long in the hinterlands just being like, no, I need to get everything in here. I need to finish all of it. I can't leave. And finally, of course, I saved this one for last. The rest of it was totally arbitrary, but I decided I had to leave this one for last. Sherlock Holmes Crimes and Punishments was really fun. I will say, if you love the other Sherlock Holmes games, if you love the really difficult puzzles, they've gotten rid of those altogether, which was kind of a bummer for me. They kept a lot of the things about the way that the game works, like the mechanics of the game they kept, but in terms of like the puzzles that you have to do, they're all very simple. They're mostly just like mind puzzles, right? Like trying to figure out, okay, so maybe this happened because of this, and then that means that this happened, and that means that this is the end game, right? It's far more about choosing what you think happened, and you could be totally wrong, which is really interesting. Like you just kind of put your best foot forward and you try to figure out what happened, but maybe you're wrong, and the game will totally let you be wrong, which is really interesting. So in that way, they swap one difficult aspect for another, and I appreciate that. And the way the game looks is amazing. Like, for any of you who know the really janky Sherlock Holmes sort of graphics, they bumped it up. They really did a cool thing with it. Anywho, that's my top 11-ish games for 2014. I hope you enjoyed. I hope that if any of those games sound cool to you, that you try them out. If games weren't on here and you're like, what, that was an incredible game, it probably means I either played it and it wasn't my thing, or I never played it, or I only played like a smidge-a-doop of it and didn't feel like I could put it on a list, right? Like Shadows of Mordor. I didn't play enough of Shadows of Mordor to say, this is going on my top 2014, because I just didn't play enough of it. But yeah, any games that you think should have been on this list or on your personal list, go ahead and put them in the comment section. And I hope you guys have had a fantastic beginning of 2015. See y'all next weekend. Bye-bye! Mwah.